Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everybody, and welcome to ReZOO, the Zoo Review podcast. I'm your host, Jack Baker, and today I am joined once again by my incredible co-host and fellow passionate zoo lover, the one and only Jodie McFarlane. Say hello, Jodie.
Hello, everyone.
Presented by Pangolin, the conservation podcast. This sister show promises to explore, appreciate, and highlight the fantastic conservation work of zoos from around the world, while also offering a perspective on the visitor experience.
Today, we are talking about the Blue Planet Aquarium. Home to animals from across the world, this collection is impressive in its size, diversity, and charisma. But does having an excellent collection mean that you will receive an excellent review?
Well, to find out, we are going to walk you through our day, through some of our favourite memories of the aquarium, the animals we loved, and some of the things that stood out to us. We'll then wrap up, as always, with our 2 stars and a wish. So, without further ado, let's get started. And welcome back to the show. Thank you all so much for joining us once again for another ReZOO, where today we are talking about the Blue Planet Aquarium, found down in Ellesmere Port. Mm-hmm. That's the correct name of the place.
Yep.
Just outside of Chester and, what's the city? Liverpool? There's all sorts of cities down there. I'm from Scotland. I don't know English geography. Down in that area of England. And yes, it is owned by ASPRO, who own a bunch of aquariums around the UK, including, as a disclaimer, an aquarium that me and Jodie both used to work for, which was Deep Sea World up in Scotland. And so we maybe have some insight into some of these animals, into some of the things that you might not usually find on a podcast. This is not... Please don't sue us, ASPRO. We have no money. We're not. We are no longer representatives of the company. We have no affiliation with them. So just putting that out there as well. There are no hard feelings, but we thought we should mention it as just a disclaimer as to our experiences with ASPRO and the ASPRO group, so you all know going into it that this is where we stand. Mm-hmm. And I suppose then I've kind of clarified already going into this, but Jodie, what were your preconceived notions, your pre-experiences with the Blue Planet? Had you been to this particular aquarium before? Had you heard about this aquarium before? What were your thoughts going in?
Had I heard about it before? Well, Jack. Yes, as Jack said, we used to work at Deep Sea, and Blue Planet is the head office because it's the biggest of the ASPRO aquariums in the UK.
Yes.
The Blue Planet is the head office, so we knew lots about it. We'd heard lots about
Endless
it.
things about it.
Endlessly heard about Blue Planet. While we worked there, colleagues of ours regularly used to have to go down and have meetings and visits and things like that, but we never went down as part of our role there. So we had never been, and the last time we went to Chester, we noticed the sign for it and realised how close it was to the zoo, and we thought, if we had more time in our trip, we could have gone to see it. So this time we were down in Chester. Jack was off doing something by himself in the morning, so I had some time to kill in the morning, and I just thought, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to Blue Planet to finally see it. It's like when you've heard loads about a person and then you finally get to put a face to a name. It's like when you go to the zoo and people are like, "You're Jack."
I'm like, yeah, it's me.
Yeah, it's so exciting just to get to go and put a face to a name. So I was very excited to go and see Blue Planet just because I'd heard so much about it, and now the day was finally here when I got to see it with my own eyes.
Yes, I would say I was the same. We had heard, so I started working at Deep Sea World first. Mm-hmm. The summer we left high school. Yep. And then by Christmas that year,
I think January I started working there, so just after Christmas.
So just after Christmas, you had also joined me at Deep Sea World. And then
the rest was history.
We worked there for something like 3 years-ish together. And then you left before I left, and then I left and went off to work at Edinburgh Zoo. And so, yes, I'd heard the same things. I'd heard all about Blue Planet, about how much bigger it was and how different it was and all this sort of stuff. And so I had quite a high expectation going in. It's been, just in terms of distance, us from this company and things.
Oh, it's been
been 6 years or something since we worked. Oh God, No. 3 years? 4 years?
I left in 2018.
Oh, Jodie, no.
Yeah.
We're so old.
I know. Honestly, I had just turned 18 when I started working at Deep Sea. Like, we were babies.
Yes. So it has been a while, but that expectation had remained in my heart of hearts. I was like, I always want to go and I want to see what this is like. And I think it was exactly what I thought it would be.
Yes, I know what you mean by that. Yeah.
It's exactly what I would thought it would be. And we'll get more into that as we go throughout. But yes, it was exactly what I thought and what I expected. Not to say that's good or bad, but it is exactly what I expected.
Yep.
I don't know, going into it though, what were your first impressions? When you got there in reality, you were obviously, as we kind of explained, you were there before. I came and joined you later on in the day, but you were there by yourself.
You had the car, so you were off in the car. So I had to get my own way there via public transport, which from the centre of Chester was fairly straightforward. I just got on a bus. And then as you're approaching the bus stop, you pass a big sign for Blue Planet Aquarium outside, so you know that you've arrived, so you know to get off at the right stop. And then it was just a little walk around the corner into the car park and the aquarium. So when you go in, they've got like the desks, I think with turnstiles.
Yeah.
And behind the desks, you can see... What could you see?
It was the main hall you were walking into.
Yeah. So there was like quite a lot going on and it was very noisy walking in because it's just a big open space. So when I went in, it was kind of in the middle of the day. It was quite busy. There was a lot of people floating about. No map, which is, as we've discussed in previous ReZOOs, quite a common feature of aquariums. You don't tend to get a map because they are more compact and you probably won't need one. But as we have said before, we just love a map. So I went in there blind, didn't know where I was going. On the second run round, by the time Jack had come to join me, I had done one loop by myself and then we went and did a second one together. So on the second loop round, it was quieter in that main hall. So I could see the way you're supposed to go to start off your journey.
Yeah.
But I did not see that the first time. So bear in mind, if it's busy, you might end up going the wrong way like I did because it's maybe not massively clear where you're meant to go to start. But yes, we'll talk about the way that you and I went because that's the right way. We went over, stayed up on that top level that we were on, went over a little bridge
and into the first area.
Yes.
I would say my first impression was similar, but I arrived later in the day, so it was a lot quieter for me. Like there was no queue, walked straight in, got straight through, kind of came into that first hall, and it was that was kind of my first thing. It was interesting to see such like working at Deep Sea World. It was, we descend downwards into a concrete box at Deep Sea World because it's built in like
the car park, isn't it?
The car park is on the roof, so it was interesting to pull into a real car park and look at a building, which was it was nice. They have a lot of space around about them, which I think would be interesting if ever they wanted to expand. That was kind of my first impression, is that they have lots of room. It was also, another first impression was it seems to be kind of randomly placed in like a not even like a shopping centre.
No, it was like car dealerships.
Car dealerships and stuff. So obviously they've just bought a plot of land, or that it's been built on a plot of land that was just available and they had a huge space. And it makes sense, I guess, to build an aquarium there, because the only difference between like a building that a car dealership is in and an aquarium is in is they're both big. They're big, lofty, open spaces. Except one of them is filled with fish and one of them is filled with cars. So it all makes sense. And that was kind of my first thoughts. But yeah, you walk in and you kind of go into this first area, you turn kind of left, and that takes you into the first area of the aquarium, which was called, going to double check the name, the Northern Streams, which featured a lot of freshwater fish in kind of big kind of, I would say they're about my head height tanks. They're about 6 foot tall. That was not a brag about how tall I am. It just is true. 6 foot tanks of kind of freshwater fish, which I think was and it was very well themed, because it was kind of, the whole thing was built like it was like fake rockwork, fake kind of like cliffs on either side. It felt very much like you were walking into a valley in which the stream and all of these freshwater species were swimming up and down, which I thought was quite nice and quite an effective entry point. I don't know, did you have thoughts?
No, I would just say that about the themage the whole way through, really.
Yeah.
Was good. And it felt like each area, they'd made an effort to make it feel distinct, which is hard when you've got an aquarium and everything's kind of in one big room. Or certainly maybe you've got a few different things in one big room.
Yeah.
Making each area or each corner feel distinct can be tricky. I feel like they did it quite well.
Yeah. I think this one was easier because it was more of a pathway.
Mm-hmm.
Like Deep Sea is very much like a big open hall space that you walk into, whereas this, because it was like a one-way path, it worked a little bit smoother and they could really get into the theming.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I liked it a lot. I think it was it was good. It was kind of simple. It was an effective way to start it. I think there was some interesting kind of tanks. It was an interesting way to present it, and it was a good first impression. Like the fish in there were kind of things, standard freshwater species that you see in all of these sorts of places. So nothing was particularly mind-blowing. I was like, wow, I've never seen that before. But it was a good first impression in terms of theming.
It's what you'd expect.
Yes, yeah. I think so.
Mm-hmm.
And then yes, that was kind of that. But you then kind of walk through and you continue your journey and you continue almost downstream, I would suggest.
Oh,
it's maybe the thought.
Downstream.
Mm-hmm. To the flooded forest.
Uh-huh.
Now this area was kind of Amazon-y themed, I would say. There were things like, I'm sure there was piranha, the classics.
Yeah.
There was kind of different sorts of lizards. There was it arowana or
Arapaima. I think it was arowana.
There was one of the two.
Either arowana and arapaima. I think it was arowana.
Yes, there was arowana. Blah blah blah. There was
Jack's having issues with this word today.
The big black pacu, I'm sure.
Yep.
There was.
They have catfish in that bit as well.
I think so.
It was kind of things that we were familiar with from Deep Sea and their Amazon area, but just maybe
spread out over multiple tanks.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think it was good. It was very nice. It was very kind of like interesting. I don't know. The theming in this area was less strong, I would say, perhaps because it was darker, so they didn't have to do as much with the rocks and stuff. But it was still good. It was still enjoyable.
Yeah, you knew what it was meant to be.
There were some cool species. There was some interesting species. I always love seeing things like catfish, and big Amazon fish are always really cool. Catfish, I think, are always a standout because you get that conservation message of look what you buy to put in your fish tank at home. Look how big it gets. Mm-hmm. Like, it's a good one. I also like telling people about how they're pretty, like, they've got those big mouths that they will eat pretty much anything that goes in that mouth. Mm-hmm. They're really cool. Piranha's always satisfying. All of the different kind of reptiles that they had were kind of cool. They had that kind of like, you can't see my action, listeners. There was a tank that was kind of like round as you went round. That was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
It had some interesting little species in it. It was a good...
I remember this being quite a roomy space.
Yes,
which is
it
nice.
felt big.
Yeah, because, aquariums sometimes can feel a little bit cramped, especially if they're busy, just because they're a more compact space, so they're going to be like that.
What was it like earlier on in the day? Was it busy? Because obviously when I arrived it was quieter.
It was busier, but it wasn't unpleasantly so. So
okay.
It was okay. I just feel like the space is... Yeah, it's just a nice roomy space, that Amazon bit. Mm-hmm. So it's good.
Yeah.
And because the tanks there are all quite wide or quite high, like big glass walls, it's good because people have got space to kind of spread out and look at the same thing at once. So it's fine.
Yeah, I'm glad. That's good to hear because I feel like, sometimes, especially like we know, having worked in aquariums on rainy days in the winter, if they are busy, it can become really difficult to get up to things, get really difficult to see things, you get very cramped in, you get very squashed, and so it is nice to hear that, like, you're able to get round okay, even when it is slightly busier, because it was pretty dead by the time I got there, which was nice, because it meant I could experience it, but it was not perfect for reviewing, because I can't, like, couldn't get a full sense of what it's like during the most chaotic of periods. But no, that's good. That is good. I suppose moving on, you kind of keep going round on this pathway. The next thing you come to is Lake Malawi, which is another thing we're very familiar with. They have a Lake Malawi tank at Deep Sea World, which is based, funnily enough, on Lake Malawi, one of the largest lakes in Africa, home to, and I always mess this up.
I know what you're going to say. Cichlids.
Cichlids. There we go.
Every time.
Hundreds of species of cichlids. They are fantastic. They come in all different shapes and sizes and colours, and they are some of the most beautiful fish in the world. The twist, I suppose, here was that next to the Lake Malawi tank, they also had tortoises.
Yes, they did.
Which I thought was a nice addition, because Lake Malawi I think in aquariums, it can be very easy to just chuck loads and loads and loads of fish in,
Which
is
makes sense
great.
because it's an aquarium.
I literally had someone, another member of staff, when I was working at Deep Sea World, was once complained to that somebody came up to them and their complaint was, I'm just sick of looking at fish. And so I think for those people who do get bored of fish, even when they come to a place that is fish-centric, it's nice to have things like the tortoises that do break that up.
Yeah, I think it is good in an area to have a few different types of animals in it that maybe would all be found in a similar part of the world, perhaps a slightly similar habitat. Like, just makes sense. Breaks it up a bit.
Yes. Yeah, I think so. And
tortoises, always a winner.
Yes.
People love them.
I would say. They're very cute. They're very wholesome. They are... Yeah, they're just the best. I just love them.
This was another room where the theme was really strong.
Yes,
and I feel
because
like
the
the ceilings were huge.
The sky.
And we stood and talked about this and commented on it, that because they'd painted it like a nice light blue to look like the sky, it just made it feel so roomy, and which is good because aquariums tend to be quite dark, which makes sense. It's all blues because it's about the sea, but it was good because it just opened up that space and made it feel light and airy, and it was good.
I agree, because actually something that I'm now thinking, like, they're very good at light control and light leveling and using space in a wise way, because that first thing, you felt trapped by that kind of gorge. Not trapped, but you felt like you were in that kind of stream. Then you went into the dark forest. Yeah. And then you come out, and the way they've painted it is, the way the building is shaped is the external wall kind of curves up and round and out the way. So they've painted that curve all the way up to over your heads blue with clouds, which when you look at it makes this space feel like you're going outside and huge, and it's really well done. And I really appreciated that, actually. It was really, really cool and really, really interesting.
Just changes it up for the visitor as they're moving along the path, doesn't it?
And again, the tank was huge. Yeah. So it was nice to see this kind of scaled up version of what we were familiar with, and with a few extra twists was really, really nice. I don't know, what did you think about the next area, which was the frogs sort of zone? I thought that was really cool again.
I like this, and one thing about Deep Sea is that they did have their own sort of amphibian room, Temple of Frogs, I think it was called by the time we left, which was, for Deep Sea, quite a big space. Like, that takes up quite a bit of the building. Yeah. But this had a big space for them as well, for the frogs, and they had other things as well, didn't they? I'm just trying to remember what was in
frogs.
that area.
I think there was karma chameleon.
Yeah, I think there was a few different things.
There was chameleons. There was a lot of different species of frogs. There was the classics of like poison dart frogs and mantellas, but there was a good few species of like lizardy things and all sorts of stuff in there that was good, and it broke up the space. Specifics, but it was and the way the room was built was also very good, because they had like these walls of frogs that were worked over multiple levels. So there were tanks at kids' head height, tanks at adult head height, tanks at all sorts of heights, which I think actually worked really effectively and really, really well, and I really enjoyed seeing that. And it worked kind of built round this middle tank that had frogs in the middle as well. Yeah. So no matter where you were, you could easily see it. And again, if it got busy, I could see this becoming maybe a pinch point, because it does get thinner. Yeah. But there is so much to look at that, like, even if you only got a glimpse of one tank and you had to come around again to just get through the space, there's lots to
I think it's smart too, because if you're one of the people that's just sick of looking at fish and they've just come from Lake Malawi to then go into this little bit where it's all quite condensed and there's lots of tanks with little frogs in, it's a good transition, I think. Exactly.
And a good further transition away from fish comes when you go downstairs and there are some little crocodiles. Yes. Which I thought was excellent. Although I was slightly traumatised because I ran up to the crocodiles and said, Jodie, look at the crocodiles, just as I feel like I'm losing control of the word crocodile. You know that way where you say something so many times you're like, it's turning into a Benedict Cumberbatch penguins situation. Crocodiles. Just as I ran up to the crocodiles and said, Jodie, look, there was a couple next to me and I heard the most horrible...
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, listeners. It was just disgusting. It was just, don't be doing that when I'm trying to enjoy my crocodiles. And also, I don't need that. And it's not a sexy place. It's not a good place to be making out. And
in front of the crocodiles, they're not exactly one of the cutesy romantic species. So where did that moment come from?
No, I didn't like it. Like, if you can smell fish, it's never the time for a kiss. If you can smell if you can smell like a rock pool off the scent, it is not the space to be making out with your partner. I don't care who
Jack
you are.
felt very strongly about this.
I didn't like it because it ruined my crocodile experience.
That you were like the childlike joy of running up to
It
the
was
crocodiles.
sucked out of me by a
and then
happy
you got
couple,
that.
and I just didn't like it.
Well, to give Jack a moment to simmer on that, for the listeners, when I came in the first time and I went the wrong way, it's because I'd come in and gone down the stairs to the crocodiles. So if you do the same as me...
Oh, so you'd enjoyed that first.
If you come in and the first thing you see is crocodiles, you've gone the wrong way.
Okay.
So just a little practical tip there to break up some of that horror.
I didn't like
from
it.
what you just told us.
I did not like it. Did not like it one bit.
So, but aside from the happy couple, what did you think of the crocodiles?
Well, I enjoyed the crocodiles. I thought it was a nice space. There was a couple of them in there. I think it's always good to have something a bit more kind of different for an aquarium. I thought it was cool.
The crocodiles are good. They're
Crocodiles.
like crocodiles.
I'm losing control
What's
of the
going on?
word.
I know. They also had a little bit at the side that had, I think,
Mud
like the little
skippers.
eggs. No, not even that.
Oh.
There was at the very
Yes.
first part was like the eggs
It
to
was
show
like-
how they come out of the eggs and stuff.
Yeah, but they were not real eggs.
No, it was just like a display
Yes.
to show how they're born, which was quite
Was
cool.
it like how the mothers will like bury the nests?
yeah, like
and,
under the mud. Yeah.
Yeah, almost like you'd imagine sea turtles doing, which, well,
Yeah.
not imagine, but almost like sea turtles
Like
do.
you do, yeah.
Yeah,
it
so
was
no,
good.
it was quite good. And it was nice to, I suppose, reframe a reptile that sea turtles everybody loves and thinks are really cute. And so to have the crocodile birth story, I think also
Yeah.
helps, which I enjoyed. Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Yeah, anyway, as you said, you then moved on to mud skippers and...
Which
was
were
it
also
Archerfish?
there's nothing sexy about mud skippers either. I love mud skippers, but when you're stood between some mud skippers and a crocodile, that's not the time. It's not the time
I don't
nor the
remember
place.
being as offended as this. I think you really just took this...
I don't mind PDA,
personally.
but when I'm having a moment of childlike joy and
I
wonder by
see.
myself,
I see.
it was more the noises that were going
Yeah.
on that really upset me. A peck on the cheek, fine. Peck on the lips, fine. But when you're smooching, I was like, oh my god, a crocodile's attacking someone. Oh wait, no, they're just attacking each other's faces.
Oh dear.
It was disgusting.
Well, something that I remember, just
The mud skippers.
just
Talk about
to
the mud
take it back-
skippers.
Well, no, I was thinking about the mud skippers, and I think Archerfish, because in that tank, I didn't notice the Archerfish first, but I noticed the little target that was hanging up,
Yes.
and that's not the first time we've seen that in an aquarium. But I really like it. I think because we had Archerfish at deep sea, but we didn't have the little target thing.
Should have done.
So the first time I saw that in an aquarium, I was like, oh, love that. And now I see it in quite a few aquariums. And I do think it's really good. And it's a really cool way to draw attention to these little fish that are really cool and do this cool thing that otherwise people would just see and think, oh, it's just some weird little fish. You know?
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. And it adds, another dimension, and it kind of highlights that skill that they have. Because if you didn't know what an archerfish was and you walk past it, you'd be like, well, what is...
Whereas if you see a target hanging
like,
up in a
oh,
fish tank, that's catching
why?
your attention and you're wondering why it's there. So I like that.
Exactly.
Big fan.
Yes, I'm sorry I couldn't provide more quality content about the animals.
It's
Jodie,
fine.
but
I'll just keep steering us on while
yes, process that horror.
Yeah. So you then went round into the kind of
Corally bit.
yes.
Corals, which I didn't really get a chance to experience properly because there were some people blocking the entranceway and we couldn't get in.
This
and I
is
was
one
like,
of the bits that I had a criticism about.
Oh.
Because the tank is lovely. It's a really lovely display. But yeah, just the way that it's kind of in this little alcovey bit in the corner. And the space between the tank and the wall, you kind of walk around, you follow the curve of the tank, walk around it. But there's such a narrow space between the tank and the wall that if it's busy at all, like it was busy enough when you were there at the end of the day that you couldn't really appreciate the tank. When I was there, I couldn't even get in that alcove. And if you had people looking at one side and they're trying to step back and take pictures and try and look at the little anemone tank that's built into the wall behind, like you just couldn't move and it was a complete crush. So this tank is lovely, but it's just in a really bad place. But then also you couldn't move it anywhere. So, it's not,
So like, well,
you know, I see why it's there, but it's just if it is busy at all, you're not going to get a good view of this, which is a shame because it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a really beautiful tank.
Oh. Well, I did get to see it, so I'm glad you've made me jealous.
Well, I did. So I managed to fight. I just pushed past the women and children with buggies that were like completely blocking the path. So you then walked around the side of the tank, up a little set of steps onto this little balcony, and you can look down and see the tank from up above, which again is nice. It's nice to be able to see a tank from
multiple angles.
And you don't normally see a fish tank from up above
No.
in an aquarium. So it's quite interesting to sort of see the scale of it. And then you come down the steps on the other side. And the second time round, I noticed that there was a little eel in there as well. He
Yes, there was. I
popping his
saw the
head out.
eel. I did see the eel.
So that was cool. Just a really lovely, bright, colourful tank. Really nice. You can see why it was, Hoaching with kids, because kids would like it because it was colourful.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, just in a tricky spot to see, so you have to be really patient for that one.
For our non-Scottish listeners.
Coaching?
Yes.
Yep. Basically just covered in kids everywhere. It was so busy. Yeah.
I love that. They're just
We
providing
had
a little...
the word burn in the last ReZOO, and now we've got hoaching. I'll just start throwing in a Scottish word for every ReZOO.
Yeah, just
for the non-Scottish listeners.
Yeah, just to learn something new and
Yeah.
exciting. Yeah, I like that. I like it. No, okay, so there was that, and then
Yes.
you came round, and it was the shores, which are an area we are all too familiar with.
Oh yes.
At Deep Sea World, we have many a rock pool tank, filled with starfish and sea bass and what else? Dogfish
rays.
and yes, rays.
Skates and rays.
And it is pretty much that, just scaled up a bit.
Yeah, because at Deep Sea you go in and there's three rock pools up against a wall.
Yeah.
Whereas here it was like a more sort of circular area and they were all just dotted about
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of walked between them. But yes, it was. I don't think there was any species in there that we didn't have at the one at Deep Sea.
No. So it wasn't exciting for me,
Yeah.
but it was
There
cool.
was loads of families about it every time we went. So it's
Yes,
a nice
I think it's a good
bit.
area.
We just sound very unenthusiastic because having looked at rock pools every day of our lives for
Mm-hmm.
years, they're perhaps not the most exciting bit of an aquarium for us,
No.
but still important, still worth a mention.
I think between the years of 2018 and whenever we left. No, we left in 2018.
Yeah.
Between 2016 and 2018, whenever it was, I probably spent more time with my hand in a rock pool than I did outside of a rock pool. So, yeah, it's just not particularly thrilling for me. Like, it was interesting. I loved it, but it was not the most, like, wow.
Yeah.
What was wow in the corner of this section was the octopus tank.
Yeah.
Which was really cool and really good and provided a lot of space for the octopus to hide. Looks like it had a lot of things for it to interact with and disappear behind. So
Yeah.
that for me was a standout as
That
something
was
different.
good. And again, because we are used to an octopus tank because of Deep Sea, but this was like a floor to ceiling
Yes,
wall of
huge.
glass. And then when you went round into the little alcove at the side, they had those windows that I love, which is like the round bubbly ones that you can like, either they go in the way so you can put your head in
Yeah.
and look into the tank, or they come out the way, which kind of like magnifies it.
Yes.
So either way, good. So yeah, you had to kind of really walk around to try and see the octopus because it was quite dark. They had big starfish in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just as people who've spent many a time trying to look for an octopus hiding in a very small tank that's quite awkward to get around, being able to see it in a bigger tank, I appreciated that
Yes.
because it made it easier for us.
Yeah. It also reminded me of that story that one of our colleagues at Deep Sea World used to work at another aquarium, which I will not name, and I will not name the colleague either. But they once told me about the fact that once they had an octopus, and the octopus was so smart at that previous aquarium, that it would come out of the tank and go into other fish tanks around the aquarium at night and eat the fish in the other tanks and then go back. So they had no idea why all of these fish started going missing until one day it got caught and they were like,
It's like in Finding Dory.
yeah, it's a smart boy. So no, yeah, like it's a good story, and I appreciate a good octopus. What I also appreciate is a good seahorse. However, I've done some investigative journalism, Jodie.
Oh, okay.
So when we went,
We were confused about
there
this.
was some empty tanks.
Yeah.
What looked like seahorse tanks to me, because they had like seagrass in them.
Yeah.
They looked very seahorse centric, but there was no signage. When I went onto the website and looked at old pictures, that wall that is now blank used to be covered in seahorse signage.
Oh, okay.
So I think at some point in the past there were seahorses around this area
Maybe
as
now
well,
it's transitioning.
but
to
it's
something
transitioning
else.
into something else, or they've taken them down while
'cause
their
that
seahorses
area,
are away or
you
whatever.
could tell that it was in the middle of being refurbished or whatever.
Yes.
And a few of the tanks they were empty, but in one of the tanks that did have animals
Oh, of
in
course
it,
they did,
had one of my favourites, which are the tiny little eel
Garden
things
eels.
that pop their head up and do this, and the listeners can't see what I'm doing, but
No.
I'm sure I did this on another one as well.
Yeah, you just bob.
I get very excited because they just pop their head up and go whoop, and then they go back in.
Yeah.
I love them. I did stand there for quite a while when I was there by myself and you weren't there. Just stood there watching them, just whoop whoop.
Yeah, I did enjoy. They were very
It's
cute.
a real highlight for me. I love them.
They are cute. I don't think I love them quite as much, but they are They are very, very cute. I'll give you that. I will give you that.
Big fan.
What I'm more a fan of is what happens next,
Mm-hmm.
which is Venom. Do you not remember what Venom is?
No, I do, but that was not next.
Well, why is it next on my list? What's happened?
Next, it was you walked into the space where they did the diver show.
Was that next?
That was next, and then that took
My
you through
investigative
the
journalism's
underwater
gone
tunnel,
down.
and then the Venom bit was like
Next.
that, and the jellyfishy bit. That was like the last bit before
okay.
you went out.
Okay, well.
Sorry. Look at me being the one that remembers. Normally you're like, then we went to this, and I look at you like, yes, we did.
So what did we next? Went to the big tank, which
Yes.
features all sorts of fish. The tank is, I believe, when I looked on the website today, 26 degrees centigrade. Centigrade. Centigrade.
Celsius?
That's the one. My brain is...
Centigrade is a thing, but...
We've talked too much today.
I
This is the
know.
second one of these we've recorded. My brain is leaking out my ears. Please forgive me, listeners. No, it was 26 degrees warm Celsius, and filled with all
Everything.
sorts of amazing sharks. I've listed them here. There were sand tiger sharks, zebra sharks, bamboo sharks, guitar sharks, and blacktip reef sharks. As well as that, they also run their divers shows out of this. I noticed there was like a plaque. Did you notice the plaque that said the Queen opened it? Mm-hmm. I noticed that. Can't wait for that episode of The Crown. Hopefully it's this season. And yeah, it was just a cool tank filled with bizarre and wonderful species.
Yeah, this was a lovely... I spent a lot of time here because after I'd done my first loop, I decided to sit there and wait for the diver show and wait for you to arrive, and you arrived just
during the diver show.
The diver show had begun. So I spent quite a bit of time just sitting, because it's cool as you walk into this. I think they call it the aqua theatre, which I enjoy, because it's a big floor to ceiling glass wall that looks into the main tank, and it's kind of built up on some little steps, so like the presenter can come and stand on like the stage, you know, and then the audience are sitting down in some chairs on the floor, or you can go up 2 sets of stairs that wind up to this balcony at the top that has seats that then look down onto the aqua theatre glass wall. So I was sat up there just taking it all in, and it was mesmerising. You could just sit there for ages and watch everything as it swims past the glass. Just beautiful, really beautiful space.
It was really cool because, yes, again, Deep Sea World has the equivalent, but it's cold water, so it's Scottish species that are sea bass and all sorts of stuff like that, and bream and occasionally an eel or whatever it was. But yes, this was much more colourful, and because it was that they have those more tropical kind of species, it was really cool. They have the big sand tiger sharks, which I always enjoy.
It was so cool to see so many different types of shark. I really liked that.
Yeah.
That was nice.
It was, it's comparable, I guess, to the Loch Lomond aquarium tank, which you've not been
I haven't seen, no.
But it's kind of comparable to that, and I think they're very similar. I wouldn't say one is particularly better than the other, to be honest, but they're both very, very good.
And we saw the diver show.
The diver show, which was also
exciting.
Entertaining. During which I learned that, and I really enjoy this fact, all of their rays are named after people who are called Ray. So they had like Ray Skywalker, Ray... There was other people. There was like Ray... Lana Del Rey.
Oh, I remember Lana Del Rey.
There was all sorts of Rays named after Rays, which I really appreciated.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other ones, but I'm just thinking
I can't remember now.
Ray Charles, Ray...
No, I just remember them
Lots
being
of
fed.
rays.
Clearly, I was appreciating the show, and you were just laughing.
Puns.
Yeah.
Yep.
But no, it was cool, and they got the 2 divers down, and the presenter was doing some communicating with them, talking about the diving equipment and how they breathe and whatnot, which we're very familiar with.
Yeah.
And then they started feeding, and it was like a tornado of fish went around this diver.
That was really
you
cool.
lost sight of them because it was just this big cloud of fish around them, and it was beautiful. It was magical. And seeing great big rays getting fed, and because they had their mouth facing the glass, you can see that funny way that they eat, and
the funny little smiley face that they have.
It was just lovely. And although I am very familiar with all of that from working at Deep Sea, it still made me happy to see it. Like, it wasn't like I was bored going, oh, I've seen that. I still really enjoyed watching it. It was just mesmerising. I really liked this part.
Yeah. I also enjoyed the fact that, like this is a bit of behind the scenes aquarium knowledge for you listeners. Divers are not particularly good timekeepers from my experience. And I could see on the presenter's face that
he was having the same issue.
He was having the same thing where, like, you'd go and you'd start a talk on the promise that divers would arrive in 2 minutes. And then 10 minutes later, you're still trying to stall and talk about stuff. And he was he had his facts ready to
He
go.
did.
Filled with information, filled with great stuff, but you could see in his eyes that those divers were taking longer than they were meant to, and I will hold that against divers till the day, like, forever and ever. Like, I love you, divers.
Like, I'm sure
You're
not
amazing.
all divers,
Not all divers
but
will
every
do
diver
this,
that
but
we ever worked with.
Yes, it was slow.
But to be fair, they've got a lot of kit to put on, so
yes,
we'll let
and they're
them
about to jump in with sharks. So, although we
we'll
are
give them that.
demystifying sharks here, sharks are fine, guys. Let's not be scared of sharks. Sharks are lovely. We worked with sand tiger sharks, including the now deceased but beautiful Tinkerbell, who was my absolute queen. Who I saw Tinkerbell growing up the whole time I grew up at going to Deep Sea World, and she was just the best, and she was a gentle giant, and everybody thinks sharks are going to be scary because they're big, but she was 3 meters long, and that she's not scary.
Same with the stingrays as well.
Yeah.
We've got stingrays in the tank. Everyone doesn't like stingrays, partly because of Steve Irwin, but we are de-villainising the stingray.
Exactly. I am going to tell you right here and right now, guys, that not everything is about you, and you're not as tasty as you think you are. Sorry, Jodie had just taken a sip of juice as I said that, and I thought my microphone was about to be covered in Pepsi, but no, Pepsi. Other Coke varieties are available. So no, yes, that was good. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that.
I'm glad that we caught that show as well, because I feel like we learned a lot about it that we wouldn't have otherwise. So that was nice.
Yes. And then, also before we move on to Venom, something that I noticed as well, before we move away from this area, was there was this bit that you could look at the top of the tank, which I thought was quite cool. Like, you could see all the walkways over the top of the tank.
Oh, yeah.
Which was quite cool and unusual. So I enjoyed that. Anyway, aside from that.
But then, before we get to Venom, you go from the aqua theatre through into the underwater tunnel.
I thought we talked about the underwater tunnel. I thought this was all underwater tunnel.
No, that was the big glass.
Oh, you just wanted to
theatre.
Oh, well, there's
We've not
also
even
a
mentioned
tunnel.
the tunnel yet.
There is a tunnel.
And we can't not mention the tunnel because we spent years of our life in a tunnel.
Yes, we did.
So we have to mention it.
And if you went to Deep Sea World in Scotland between the years of 2018 and I'm going to say 2021, you would have heard Jodie's voice doing the
At
voiceover
one point,
in the
the
tunnel.
voiceover in that tunnel was my voice.
Yeah.
No longer, but yes, at one point in time, it was.
They've gone, she's too old, she's too far
What a
gone
legacy.
now.
I know, they needed new, fresh blood,
Yeah.
clearly. But yeah, the tunnel, not much else to say, because if we've seen one underwater tunnel, we've seen them all. But it was nice to go in and see the rays and all the different types of shark. Just, it made me nostalgic going through that tunnel, and they had like the moving walkway as well. So yes, I felt very nostalgic going through there.
Interesting. Yeah, that's good. That's good. And now we get to Venom.
And now we get to the bit Jack's been
Venom,
waiting for,
which featured jellyfish.
Well,
the jellyfish tank was not...
Should have had jellyfish, I think, because there was signs about jellyfish, and the theme... There was a lovely mirror that had like...
jellyfish themage.
On it, but there were no jellyfish to be seen in that area. But one of the tanks that was a round circular
looked
tank...
jellyfish-esque.
Which surely would have had jellyfish in it, had a sign on it saying it was under...
Construction.
Yeah, so I think jellyfish are a key feature of that area, but sadly they were not there on the day that we went.
Yes.
Which is a shame, because I love them.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it's not a thing Deep Sea has. I feel like a lot of what was at Blue Planet is the same sort of species that Deep Sea has, just maybe on a slightly bigger scale because it's a bigger building. But Deep Sea does not have jellyfish.
No, but it does have other creatures which are featured in this area.
In this area, yeah.
Such as lionfish.
Yeah.
So there is similar. I think that there's an alternative twist there. I love how we're now just doing like a, you know how people do like comparative book studies and text studies. We're doing a comparative analysis of Deep Sea World and Blue Planet, which I kind of love.
It's hard not to though, because that's what we're used to, and this felt like it was very similar, obviously because it's run by the same company.
Yeah.
Just on a slightly bigger scale.
Yeah.
But, like the theme was similar, and
and it also and then this area also featured snakes and tarantulas and anything that featured
insects
venom.
There was also a little because speaking of how it's got similar themage.
Yes.
They had one of those exhibits that you can like crawl underneath and then stand up and your head pops up in a little dome thing inside an exhibit, so that the tanks are all around your head. So they had exactly the same one.
It was like it was copy and pasted.
The T. We saw it and we were both having like flashbacks. The exact same thing that they have at Deep Sea, except they had different things inside it, which was quite interesting.
They had millipedes, did
Yeah,
they not?
that was a take I was not expecting, because at the one at Deep Sea, I think it had tarantulas when we started working there.
Yeah.
And maybe something else by the end. But the millipedes, having them in there was interesting, but quite good, because getting your head inside and looking around and seeing all the legs up close is probably quite a good idea for millipedes. So I got that.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. It was good. This whole area, I think, was a standout for me. I think it was really good. It was really interesting. It was a bit different. And I just really liked it. I really, really liked it. Because I think what I liked about it was distinct from anything else that we, like, everything else felt very similar to something I'd seen before. A bit like when you go to a sea life centre. They're very similar.
Because it's
when
all
you go
the same
to an ASPRO
brand.
thing,
Yeah.
it's all very similar. So to have this, it was very distinctly different, which I think I enjoyed.
Because they had snakes in there that we did not have at Deep Sea.
No,
And
we
they had
didn't have
quite a
any
few.
snakes really at Deep Sea. We had the
There
Royal
was one.
Python.
There was one in what was it that was in the Amazon?
The
We're
Royal
just
Python.
rambling now.
It was
We're
the Royal
just-
Python.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, it was good. It was
They had
good.
a few. They had cool ones.
Next, you leave there.
Mm-hmm.
You come out into the cafe,
Yes.
which I think we didn't eat at, but I would like to highlight because it has like portholes into the main tank, which is really cool.
Yeah, so if you're sitting in the booths along one side of the cafe wall, in the middle of your booth, you've got a window, little round window that looks into the underwater tunnel. So you might just see a shark swimming by as you're eating your lunch.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that.
I do enjoy that.
I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was kind of it for the inside.
Yeah, so that was like the cafe, and then you went upstairs, which took you back to like the reception
hall.
area, the main
Yep.
hall where the toilets and things were, and the gift shop.
Yes.
It's a natural progression. You'd go up the stairs to the gift shop.
Now, do you want to tell us what your experience was when you got to this point and what you almost missed out on?
Yeah, okay, so I had gone in search of a drink while I was waiting on Jack.
Yep.
Only drinks I could find around the building were in vending machines, which only took coins, which these days not a lot of people have. You know, post-COVID, people aren't carrying money. So I'd gone to the gift shop to see if they had like a fridge that had bottles of water and juice and whatnot in it. They did not. But then there was a little bit at the back of the gift shop, like a little ice cream bit, which had shutters that come down. So I guess that's only maybe open in the summer or at weekends. They sell ice cream. And I managed to get a drink out of there. While I was in the queue at the ice cream bit, I could see an outdoor area with some people sitting outside on benches. And as I looked out, I could only see a play park. So I thought, oh, that must be the play park. I'm not going out there. But by this point, I was waiting on Jack. I'd been in for a while, so I thought I'll go out and get a bit of fresh air just for a little second. And as I went out, you had some benches and the play park. But if you keep going, there were pelicans. And then also some kind of nature walk thing as well.
Yeah.
So a really nice, quite big outdoor area that I think could be quite easily missed. Because had I not been up in the gift shop, and a lot of families might bypass the gift shop because they don't want their kids to see the toys, they just want to get them out the door, you might miss this bit. So maybe some more obvious... I think there was, when I came back in, I noticed there was signage for it, but I missed it the first time. So maybe some more obvious signage.
Yes, I think that's fair. And I think it's a good idea because it's like... Yeah, I don't know. It just seems like a good idea to have a more obvious pointing out there because it is something unique. When you think about like Loch Lomond, Sea Life didn't really have an outdoor bit. Sea Life London didn't have an outdoor bit. Deep Sea World doesn't really have an outdoor bit apart from the seals.
Yeah.
St Andrews Aquarium did have an outdoor bit, but it was just to the seals again. Like. So to have an outdoor play area is something quite unique for an aquarium. I might encourage more people to come on like summery days, so make it more of a thing.
You can spend a longer day there as well.
Yeah. What did you think of the pelicans though? When you found them? What did you think?
Yeah, I like them. Pelicans.
What did you think of the pelicans? Yes.
Yes, I thought about them. Yeah, I don't have many thoughts about the pelicans. It was just quite a nice thing to see because if you're going to have anything outdoors at an aquarium, it would normally be seals or maybe otters, you know, something like that in an outdoor pool. So going out and seeing pelicans was...
a bit more unusual.
Yeah, so I just liked that. I appreciated that.
Yeah.
So they were just out there chilling. I think by the time you came, they'd gone away inside.
Yeah, I didn't see the
So you
pelicans.
didn't see them, but I saw them. Maybe only slight thought is that they are very close to the play area, so if it's noisy, that might annoy them. But
Yeah.
don't know. I could just be speculating there. They might be absolutely fine, but that would be my one thought. Yeah. And then keep walking down past the pelicans, and there's like a little, it's just a little loop that brings you back up. A little nature walk, which I think is like one of these outdoorsy spaces where they're trying to increase biodiversity and natural species and whatnot. So there's a lot of like wildflowers and maybe like bug hotels and, you know, stuff to encourage natural wildlife. At the time of year we went, it kind of had passed the blooming flower season, so it just kind of looked like overgrown grass. But that is what it's meant to be, as a nature area. So yes, and again, if you've been inside, aquariums can be a little bit stuffy if it's a really busy day, so getting out for a little bit of fresh air, not a bad thing.
Yeah, I like that. I like it a lot. And it's, if it maybe attracts more people in the summer because they know they're not going to be indoors all day and missing out on a nice day. Yeah. So I can see that. It was nice. But yeah, that, shockingly, brings us to the end. Bonus stuff for this episode: gift shop and ticket price. I think ticket price was pretty standard for an aquarium. Yeah. I think it's about £15 for a kid, £20-something for an adult, which is expensive, but aquariums are very expensive. What I noticed on the website is quite interesting. They do both a family ticket and a friends ticket. So instead of getting 2 adults, 2 kids, you can get 4 adult tickets, which I thought was like quite a good idea and a good concept for a discounted rate. So there are those deals available.
I appreciate that. I didn't know that, but I appreciate that because any sort of bundle of tickets, it's always aimed towards families with kids. So I appreciate different ticket packages that are for people that are maybe visiting without kids. That's good. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. I thought it was good. It was really, really good. And then the other thing was gift shop. What did you think of a gift shop?
I had a little look round. A lot of it was kind of similar to Deep Sea, obviously because it's the same company, so you're going to have the same merchandise. My only advice would be get a fridge with bottles of drink in it, because that's what I went looking for and could not find it. And also, the ice cream bit it was shut later on in the day when we went. Yeah. So had I not gone when I did, I would not have been able to get a drink.
Oh, that would have been bad, actually. Yeah, that would have been bad.
So that's just a thought, because,
Fair. No, that's good. That is good. And that brings us almost to the end. But before our standard questions, I think I'm going to add another one in. Okay. So usually we're going to do our 2 stars and a wish and everything in a second. But before we do, I'd like to ask, in terms of having experienced years of your life within Deep Sea World and a day at the Blue Planet, what are your thoughts on the 2 of them as a pair? And comparing them slightly, which would you say was better? Like, what were your kind of thoughts if you were to compare the Blue Planet and Deep Sea World?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think I'll always lean in favour of Deep Sea because we worked there and there's memories and whatnot. And they have seals. And who can forget the seals? You know, love that. But yeah, I think comparing them, a lot of it is similar. Like, we went and it was just like a nostalgia tour, wasn't it? Because so much of it just reminded us of Deep Sea and like certain theming and stuff. It was almost identical, but just on a bigger scale, which I think if you had spent years working at Deep Sea and then went there, it was nice because it felt like Deep Sea but bigger, so it was quite cool. But maybe if you did it the other way around and went to Deep Sea second, you're not really going to see anything different. You'll see the same things but on a smaller scale, which might disappoint people. I don't know, I'm just speculating. Yeah. But I would go in favour of Deep Sea just because it's our place, you know.
I would have also said, I'm removing myself. I'll go for a non-biased judgment.
Yes, go for it.
Since we've had the nostalgia judgment, from a non-biased judgment, I would say Deep Sea World is the superior aquarium.
Oh, okay.
Now, for having worked at Deep Sea World for many years, I was built into my head that it was going to be the best. Like, the Blue Planet was really cool, it was really, really big, it was this, that, and the next thing. However, I think that the Blue Planet is good, and it's a lot of stuff that's scaled up, but in terms of diversity of species, I actually think Deep Sea World probably has a more diverse and interesting collection. In Deep Sea World's Amazon area, I think is better than the Amazon area at the Blue Planet. I think the frog area at Deep Sea World is better than the frog area at the Blue Planet. I think the seals at Deep Sea World give it extra points over the Blue Planet, because while pelicans are exciting, I didn't get to see them, and I imagine if the pelican, like the seals are always doing something, and so that kind of adds a little bit more
pelicans are
excitement to the
there.
day. I think that in terms of design for various things, I just think that Deep Sea World is the superior aquarium. I think in terms of placement, Blue Planet is built in a car park.
Yeah.
Deep Sea World is built under the most iconic bridges in Scotland and has the most fabulous view from the cafe.
It also has the benefit of being next to a water source.
Exactly. So while I think Blue Planet is fantastic in what it does, and the fact that it's scaled up in the Lake Malawi area, I think is fantastic. Their like Venom area, I think is fantastic. If I was to give a prize out and had to pick one of the two, I would rather spend a day looking around Deep Sea World than I would spend a day at the Blue Planet, which is perhaps a controversial opinion because I don't think that would be many people's thoughts. But in terms of me personally, that would be my thought. Obviously, if I let bias play into that a bit more, I'm always going to pick Deep Sea World, of course, because they have the alligator snapping turtle Godzilla, who I love. They have Stella, who I love. They have those sharks that I love. They have all of these amazing things and all of these amazing memories. But even on an unbiased level, I do think that Deep Sea World is the better aquarium. What I would also be intrigued to do, though, is go to some of the other... Do they not own the Deep?
No.
What do they own?
People always mix up the Deep.
Oh, what's the one? What is the one that I'm thinking of then? They own another one.
They own a lot. Tynemouth, Portsmouth.
These are the ones that I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to go to them
and see if it's
the same themage.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting to me, like, having now been to several sea life centres and comparing them, they are pretty much
the same. Yeah.
I'd be interested to see how many ASPRO aquariums you can go to and see if they feel the same.
Yeah.
Because it's really interesting.
Probably will, because it's a brand, isn't it?
But what's really strange to me is that it can't be, like, it's not cheaper to theme all of your aquariums the same way because they're all over the country. And you're not bulk buying and bulk updating everything. Like, they're updating things slowly to all match each other. So it's interesting. Do you know, like, because Deep Sea World didn't used to have some of the stuff that matched Blue Planet, but it's like they're trying to convert them all to this similar model.
Yeah,
and
but then,
it's interesting.
I don't know if I
why.
like that because obviously, as you say, Deep Sea is the only one in Scotland. It's under an iconic Scottish
landmark
heritage site.
Yeah.
It's, you know, we've got we should be using a Scottish aquarium. It's Scotland's national aquarium. We should be highlighting species in Scotland because we're the only one that can do that out of the ASPRO ones.
Yeah.
So why not? Yeah, like, I don't want it to feel generic. I want them all to feel
special.
Like, okay, have some bits that are the same because all aquariums are going to be highlighting like an Amazon area. They normally all have that because it's cool. But yeah, like, I would like it maybe this is my wish. I'm jumping ahead. Maybe this is my wish. I would like them to feel a little bit more distinct and different because Deep Sea has got Scottishy elements that set it apart from the other ASPRO sites. So what sets Blue Planet apart?
Exactly.
Does that make sense? Yeah?
Yes, I think that's exactly it. And I think that is, a good way to sum up my feelings on the thing. What makes Blue Planet special?
Yeah. Other than the fact it's just the same as everything else but bigger. You can't just rely on being bigger.
I mean, you have to have something, and I mean, it does have, like, that Venom area is really fantastic. And that tank is the big, like, Aquatheater is fantastic. But they're not, there's just something about it that's just not, I don't know what it is.
It sounds like a harsh criticism, but it's not. We're just, because I feel like we're just more picky about this because we're so invested.
And we worked in the aquariums for that long.
So it makes us think about it in more detail. But
yes.
Picky details.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so on that note, I think it's time to celebrate Blue Planet a little bit more because we have just analysed it in comparison to its smaller brother. So let's move on and let's talk about our 2 stars and a wish. So, Jodie, what would be your first star? What was the thing that stood out the most to you?
I really like the Aquatheater.
Yeah.
I just love that. Maybe because I spent so long sitting there waiting on you, just staring at it, mesmerised. But I just really loved that. I thought it was beautiful, and I liked getting to see the diver show see them all feeding. It's been years since I've seen a diver show, so it's very nostalgic and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought it was really, really good. I thought it was really, really fantastic. And I thought it was different to see, and they did different stuff from Deep Sea World in terms of the what was it called? Like the hurricane, not hurricane. Was it a hurricane? The thing where the fish all swam around you, the tornado,
cyclone, whatever you call it.
Cyclone. That was cool. I liked that. That was really cool. So yeah, I would agree. That was a really good, cool tank. Very, very cool. Well, it was hot, but it was cool. So I would say my favourite thing was Venom. I think that area was fantastic. I think the selection of species were fantastic. I would have liked to see jellyfish in there, but it didn't detract enough from the experience to make me think, oh, this is bad. I think it was cool. It was an interesting way to theme an area. It was an interesting way to link a bunch of otherwise completely sparse and unrelated species. And I thought it was really, really interesting. And so I appreciated Venom as a concept. Not Venom starring Tom Hardy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure we appreciate that as a concept too.
Yes, we all appreciate Tom, but no. This Venom. Excellent. Second star.
My second star maybe would be something that we forgot to mention. Which was, as you go through the underwater tunnel, there's a bit in the middle where it sort of goes from one tank to the other, and they had a big projector screen with some of the aquarium's divers explaining different hand signals and stuff like that they use, and just talking a little bit more about the diving aspect of it, which I liked, because then if you didn't catch the diver show, you can still learn more about all of that goes on, which maybe you wouldn't appreciate, because if you didn't see it, you wouldn't realise how much it's going on. And then also you mentioned, like, you saw there was a little bit of the tank that looked in above the top of that big tank, and you saw the walkways going above it, which again was very nostalgic for us, seeing up above the tank at deep sea. So I just appreciated those little nods to, like, the behind the scenes work that goes on in an aquarium, everything that the divers and aquarists are doing, and these bits that the public wouldn't see or wouldn't be as familiar with, but is essential to keeping it running day by day.
Yeah, I think a good one. That was
Random
a good one.
star, but
I
I just appreciated it.
Yeah, I would say my second star would be I almost want to say Lake Malawi, which I think is a shock, because Lake Malawi can be quite not dull. It can be quite a small feature in a lot of aquariums.
Yeah.
But they took the time to really highlight it, and I appreciated that. I do think that was good.
Yeah. And I think because we were used to seeing one tank of Lake Malawi at deep sea, which was almost just like a, not afterthought, like a pre-thought to going into the bigger Amazon area, which then took your attention. It's quite nice to see a big area celebrating Malawi itself.
Yeah. Especially because it was just because, like, as you said, like, it was kind of tacked onto the side of the Amazon area, but Malawi is on a completely other continent so give it its space, and give it its dues, and give it its excitement.
When we used to be presenters at the aquarium, so we had to learn all the talks and all the facts about the animals, and I remember something like the Amazon or the tunnel or the seals, they were like the first ones you learned because they were the big ones, and I'd been there for quite a while before I learned about Malawi to give a Malawi talk, and I remember thinking, wow, this is so interesting, and I had no idea, and I work here. Like, so the public certainly probably won't know, and the conservation message and all that kind of stuff going on there, it was so cool. There was so much to talk about, really interesting talk, but perhaps gets bypassed because it's not always a tank that the most attention is drawn to. So I liked that it was drawn here.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it. Okay, and then finally, wishes.
Well, I feel like we kind of touched on a joint wish with what we said a minute ago about how we wish it was just distinct.
Make it more special, make it more local, make it more...
Yeah. If I was zoned in on a specific little wish, I think it would maybe just be about that coral tank, because it was beautiful. I just wish it was somewhere else so that you could see it better. Yes,
I think that's fair. I would say my wish would be that couples making out was forbidden. No, I'm joking. I would say that my wish would be, I suppose generally, throughout the experience, the signage, I would say, was below par.
Okay.
I would say there was not a lot of signage around. I would say the signage that was there was very basic and not particularly engaging.
Well, I was just going to say, I don't actually remember much about the signage, so maybe that says it all.
Yes.
Because normally, if anyone's listened to ReZOOs before, I always go on about the signage, because
Exactly.
I get excited about the signage. But yeah, I can't actually remember much signage.
And I would say the struggle, perhaps, could lie, and I don't want to tell tales out of school. However, at Deep Sea World, the signage was all designed by the aquarists who looked after the animals. And if it is a similar situation there at Blue Planet, which I imagine it is, given it is a standardized model that they seem to run all their aquariums by, aquarists are not trained in public communication and making engaging signage. They will tell you fantastic scientific information, and they will tell you correct information, but that information will not always be the most engaging or easy to listen to, or particularly, wow, look at this. So I would say perhaps...
Sounds shady, but I know what you mean. It's fair.
I think
because
science communicators and scientists are two very different things, and little do the two mix. So I think that there needs to be some form of chat between scientists and the people communicating
get the information from your aquarists, but then give it to someone else who deals
the educators, the marketers, to
use the information that they've given them to put into an engaging way. Yeah, that's fair, because the aquarists are going to give you good information and it's going to be right and accurate and whatnot. But yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, because it's like at the zoo, it's not the zookeepers that design the signage.
No.
We've got an interpretation team who are solely in charge of that. So they'll work in collaboration with the zookeepers, get all the correct scientific information, but then they're going to spin it in a way that makes it palatable to an audience.
Interpretation is hard.
Yeah.
And it needs to be a dedicated
That's
thing.
Interesting. Yeah.
And I would speculate that was
a
the
good
situation.
take.
But just knowing the behind the scenes sort of stuff about
And
Deep
also,
Sea.
as we know from working with, there was a small aquarist team at Deep Sea that we all worked very closely with. They are run off their feet trying to run an aquarium. So
signage is going to fall by the wayside.
Yeah, because they've got fish to keep alive. So do they have time to worry about making up signs?
No. So that is pure speculation. However, I would imagine I am likely correct. Allegedly. I will not be sued because that is not fact. That may not be true, listeners. That is my hunch on what the situation is based on previous experiences that I have had.
That's fair.
And therefore, I would say it makes it a reliable hunch. But
it's an educated guess.
It's an educated guess. And so, yes. Yeah. What was I going to say?
Well, all that's left is our word.
Oh, our word of the day, yes. So, the shade. No.
The shade of it all.
No, I think the word of the day...
We need to start thinking... We always say this, we should think of our word beforehand, but then we never do, because I feel like the word comes to us as we do this.
Naturally, and it evolves, yes.
What is the word?
Venom. No.
What about... nostalgia?
Interesting. Why?
Yeah. Well, because maybe this is not a word that would work for every visitor, but for us going in, it made me very nostalgic about the days at Deep Sea, and as we were going round, we were harking back to our experience there a lot and saying, oh, this reminds us of Deep Sea, and do you remember we had that, and we had that at the aquarium, and we used to talk about this. It made me very nostalgic.
Yeah, I like that.
So it's not a word that would work for your average visitor, but for us, I feel like the word was
nostalgia. It's a familiar, nice, kind of homely feeling of like, oh, I know that.
Yeah.
We have had one of those.
It did. There was something about, it's like, you know, when you go back to visit like your old primary school, or you pass your old childhood home again, like it unlocks these memories that were a bit fuzzy, and suddenly they come back into focus and you're like, oh, and it's such a strange sensation. It's a bit like that. It was like walking back a doorway into the past for us and being like, oh, just reminded of all these things, you know?
Yes, I like that, especially because like if we were to go back to Deep Sea World now, it would not be the same, because it would be like all of these new people, all of these new faces, all of this new stuff. And like, so to have something that captures that memory that is, we knew was going to be different. So it's not quite as sad as like, oh, these people aren't here anymore.
But
like
there
it
was
like
enough little things that were the same that it was just nice.
Yeah, I like that. Nostalgia's a good one. It's a good one. And on that nostalgic note, feel like we should end. Listeners, go and think about your favourite childhood zoo aquarium memories. Do it. I love it. I'll add a little, if you're on Spotify, I'll add a little question below. Tell us about them. I want to know. But no, so... yes, nostalgia. How exciting. So, yes, thank you for listening, listeners. That brings us to the end of another wonderful, fantastic, interesting, chaotic show. If you would like to keep up with ReZOO, you can follow the show on follow Pangolin the Conservation Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts from. You can follow us on there, and there'll be season 5 of Pangolin coming out soon. So yeah, make sure and follow so you don't miss out on any of that.
It's nice to catch up on ReZOO, because I feel like we've not done them for a while, so
and we've got a lot
time.
of good ones coming up.
Got time to catch up.
Yes, Pangolin will be back. It's just ReZOO's time to shine, because I'm doing my PhD, and this is far easier to edit than the interviews with other people, because it's just us rambling. So it's much easier to deal with. But no, that brings us to the end. Thank you for subscribing. If you'd like to review, you can also review us and leave us a nice review. 5 stars, leave us a nice comment, tell us what you love, tell us what you where you want us to ReZOO next. We'd love to hear it.
Us giving a review.
Oh, that's very meta.
It is. Yeah.
But do it. Tell us you love us. And also follow us on social media. We're at Pangolin Podcast. On Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, all of the social medias, we're on there. Go and follow us. You can also follow me at The Only Jack Baker on Instagram, or at Only Jack Baker on what's next? On on Twitter. On Twitter, that's the one. If Twitter hasn't turned into a burning hole in the ground by the time you listen to this episode, please follow me on there. You can also, should we give them a teaser of what's coming next? Because we're going somewhere familiar next.
We are.
We are going back to the wonderful world of Chester.
Back to where ReZOO all began.
So coming up very, very soon, me and Jodie, of course, we went to Blue Planet, but we also went while we were down there to Chester, and we have some thoughts that we'd like to impart now that we've had a less stressed visit. Jodie didn't have to run around the zoo in a day. She's been once already. She could enjoy it a bit more. There was things that were open that weren't there before. There were things that were changed. There were things that we enjoyed. So we'll be doing a little Chester revisited episode very, very soon. So make sure to subscribe for that. And until next time, thank you all so much for listening, and goodbye.
Bye.